Hi, I'm Greg Flagel. I'm here with my two good buddies, Mark Skinner, raise your hand, man, and Ken Nelson. Throw it out to Ken. Yeah, okay. Good one. No game time. Anyway, I'm here at the world famous Santa Monica Pier in Los Angeles. And we're going to continue with our journey through photography. Now, this is the conversations offline were really full and rounded and it's good to have good friends that have a knowledge of something that you enjoy and then talk about it. So here we go. Ken, you're up, man. You're first on the line. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to talk about history and a
Oh, I see.
journey. And
Right. Journey
so,
through photography. Yeah.
yeah, so what I want to do is just want to show you a quick journey from then to now. So the image that's on the screen now is an image that I did during the years that I would have been at Pratt, not necessarily as a project for school, but it would have been something I would have taken during that time. And when one of the things people may notice is uh, maybe connectivity to the imagery, but I'll just leave it at that for now. And what I'll do is show you this because
What do you
this is
What do
one
you
of my
mean?
say connectivity, closeness,
Okay.
closeness to your
Go ahead.
subject. And so that'll be one of the key factors and differences between then and now. So, I was looking at compositions from a distance, and, this composition caught my eye when I was there. So definitely something I would have done. But again, this is a much younger me. So would I take this image now? Yeah. Um, I don't know if I would have just taken one. I don't think I did take one at that time, but this is one of maybe one or two shots or frames that I did. And just to do a compare and contrast, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
what
yeah.
that'll be like for you, but this is my image that I've taken recently.
Mhm.
Definitely a big difference in tonality, in color, in closeness.
Cool. I could see if you did a tight crop on the previous picture, it would be very similar. All the people crowded around, and I love the that dry fountain. That speaks a lot to me. I like that. Great shots. Got anything else?
No, that's all I got. Just comparing these
Oh, I mean,
two.
what, what did you learn on the journey? How has your vision changed?
Well, our vision is continually changing, and
Okay.
the camera we use makes a difference. The
Yes.
focal length that we use makes a difference. Our
Yes.
own emotional attachments or detachments makes a difference. Whether we're an
Yeah.
introvert or an extrovert makes a difference.
Right.
Whether we've seen or relate to other people in specific ways, whether we want to be a loner or whether we want to be next to people, all makes a difference
Yes.
in how we see and how we relate, and
Yeah.
how we photograph. So what I did know is that definitely there's a difference between the type of cameras that has now most people say right cameras don't make the photographer make the photograph, the photographer makes the photograph, and I'd say that's 95% there, but that other 5% that isn't has a big impact on how the image comes out because if I couldn't photograph this with a medium format 60 millimeter 80 millimeter, but I could photograph it with a 35 millimeter 28. Big
Uh-huh.
difference. Okay,
Oh yeah.
so definitely
Right.
big
I mean,
difference. So
it's funny you mentioned proximity. I think it's really interesting that in the former photograph, you're photographing as you're sort of wandering around at seeming. Now, this doesn't seem like it's necessarily an event. Is this at an event, or is this just sort of a summer day, or actually a spring day?
Just sitting around a fountain.
there is no event. It's just a sort of like I guess a street fair
Right,
or festival,
right. But so that's an event, but the
but it's really not it's not a formalized event. I mean, there are people selling food, but
right.
that's it.
So it's sort of like it's almost like a flea market but it's also a time when maybe the city doesn't have the budget to keep the fountain running, or, there's a reason why the fountain is empty. There's no water. And that's really the interesting thing about this photograph, is that the water is not running and people have gathered near a fountain pretty much the same way they would if the water was there and they had seen this fountain many times and they were no longer marveling at the jets and what they did.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what I was making a comparison between. And when you see this and you see the people in the background and you pay attention to the foreground, you see these water jets. And the water jets sort of mimic the verticalness of the people. And I
Yes.
was making that comparison. So
Right.
those are basically water jets. And with the fountain empty, you wouldn't see the water jets, but in this particular instance, you do. And
Right.
so,
And so it's focused on what's not happening, wherein now
yeah,
you're a little bit more focused on what's actually happening.
yeah, yeah. And the dynamics and the political nature, if you want to consider this a political nature of the photograph, then there's a difference that where my earlier images, I would not have been in a such, well, I probably wouldn't have been this close, but the nature of everything just in time uh, forces one to continue to grow and think.
Would you say that the
Absolutely.
photography that you do now is less scenic in nature and more informative in a different way?
More so, well, yes. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree. But not to say that I wouldn't. I mean, because, yes, if you would have, most of the images that I photographed years ago were more scenic in nature. They were not about individual circumstances and places in time, where now the images that I do are about certain things that are happening in certain places in time. They're predicated by that. People being in specific places, whether that's a sidewalk, whether that's an occasion, whether that's just people gathered out doing nothing. But it's always about that people. Where before it was really not about the people, but the places and the people that inhabited them, but more about the place than the people. Now it's sort of reversed.
Hmm. Yeah, I've seen it progressing. I like it. It's fun. It's a fun journey, huh?
Yeah, it's a fun journey. Really cool.
Good. Keep shooting, Ken. You got anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
Sweet. All right. This is again a journey through photography with three buddies from Brooklyn, New York, and we are talking about a photographic journey this time, and we're comparing early works that we've done with what we're doing now. Just to see how we've progressed along. So next up, Mark's dinner. Do your thing, bro.
Okay, what you'll see that is that I have two images of two models. They're side by side. I wanted to show you pretty much a big difference between, say, 1987 and maybe 2016. So it's not the most recent photograph, but it really does illustrate the type of work that's still being done today. And what you'll see is that the goal of the photograph on the left was to pretty much show the garment as the model would display the garment in a semi-exotic scene. Now, when I was going to Pratt, I think this was maybe a year after Pratt. What you'll find is that the most exotic thing that we could think of when we were photographing models on the streets of New York at the time was the new Jacob Javits Center. It had just been finished, I think, in 1986 or so, and it was really interesting and modern. And it's a completely different Manhattan that exists now than then. And this was really modern. So you had a model, they would pose, you'd photograph them, you try to get various aspects of the garment, get their poses, but mostly it was done with daylight. This was even before speed lights were very, very popular. So, you really watched the sun, where the sun went, made sure the sun was on the model's face and all of that. Maybe if you were very, very seasoned professional, you had a generator and strobes, but at the time I didn't have anything like that. But you'll notice in the image, this is the full frame of a transparency that I copied. It's my own photograph, but I copied it for the sake of just having it. You'll notice that there's the stairwell that goes down into the drive that's there. That's something I would have cut out a little bit later. So pretty much to my practice, I thought that was sort of an interesting element. But now I realize that kind of distracts a little bit from what the model's doing. The image on the right is an image that has a different goal. On the left, you're trying to get photographs that you would have thought would have gone in a magazine. So the model wants photographs of themselves looking as they would be in a magazine illustrating clothes. These days, because so much publishing is electronic, so much of photography is based kind of selfie. A lot of the work that I had been doing more recently has been more headshots rather than modeling composite work. I think maybe that's because the models are a little bit more finite. I was in a different area when this photograph was done, but pretty much all in all, I would say a lot more of the photography that's done today is aimed more towards headshots, whether it's a selfie or in this case, a pageant contestant needed a photograph for photogenic work. You'll see in this one, with the advent of battery packs and portable lighting, not so much a speed light, but a huge ring light, pretty much before everyone had their own ring light during the pandemic that had a softbox attached to it. You can kind of see the light in her eyes if you zoom in there a little bit, and there's also a reflector. And these were both taken outside. They were both taken near walls. One was near a wall in a state park, a community park, and then the other one obviously is in the Javits Center. So I would say that the biggest difference I've seen in the type of work that I do has been that the subject is more important in the individual in the photograph, just like in Ken's case, is a little bit more important these days than for the work that I've been doing, the kind of look they were trying to get. Now, in one instance, I'm showing a product, but in this case, on the left, the product is the clothing. On the right, the product is the actual individual. And that's really kind of the big difference.
Okay. Well, I just have one question, a quick one. Why did you choose to use the side of the building instead of the front that says Jacob Javits? Just curious.
Well, part of making it an exotic looking place, because most people in New York, you got to remember, this is a time when, this is even before the photo show that has come and gone, was at the Jacob Javits Center. This is when it first opened. So you didn't want to show people where this was. It was really about replicating the type of work you would see in Harper's Bazaar, where this is an exotic location. And a lot of people really didn't even know where this was in '86. Some people.
It doesn't say Jacob Javits.
I'm sorry, what was that? Well, if you show it's the Jacob Javits Center, then all the other photographers flock. Oddly enough, as large as it is, it's sort of a secret location for photographing quickly. And, this is also before 9/11. It's also before the other bombing that they had in the 90s. So if you really kind of just kept yourself quiet and your group quiet and didn't make too much noise and bring too much equipment, you could pretty much photograph almost anywhere outside of New York, even down in the driveway there. I don't think you could even get there.
Nope. Well, I think your work is going from slick to slicker, man. I like your portraits, the portraits that you have put up. Is there anything else, Ken? You got anything? Marc, you got anything else?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the questions brought about is the reason why you don't want to make a noise about the location is because you want the proprietary keep of the place, or you for your own secret stash, or because it's just about using a public space?
Well, back in the 80s, it was about both. You know, at one point, you sort of like, wow, where were these photos? Well, this was in front of the MetLife building. Oh, no, this was at the Jacob Javits Center. Oh, this was downtown in Battery Park. There were all these places that, you know, you would photograph. And people would kind of wonder where this is. And you could tell people individually if you wanted. But the idea was that you tried to find places that didn't just look just like the Fifth Avenue and 13th Street or Fifth Avenue and 12th Street. That you can see at say Women's Wear Daily when they're walking, the daily photographs.
Yeah, those images. I always see the New York street images where you get an atmosphere of, New York. Bam, it's all in your face, and it's the wall confused me, but I understand your reasoning for it, so that's really cool. Okay, we're good on that one. Can we move along?
Yep.
Let's move along. Live from Santa Monica, California. We're doing a journey through photography. I guess it's my turn. All right, let's roll it. Hit it, kid.
Okay, give me a sec. It's a little
Sure
bit
thing.
of
Take it down. Well,
okay. We got it.
what I've where I've been. This is sort of practice, not that that's thing, but I don't know. Visually, I was trying to make a statement, but I had back then I was very kind of melodramatic. I was reading a lot of poetry books, and like the Private Eyes with the black and white movies. Yeah. So I did use sepia tone. That was one of my favorite things. We were dipping our hands in it, toxic chemicals, and it was wonderful. But I'm not even going to say what title I had for it. But egg is important with all its symbology. Uh, two empty salt shakers and some really old, silverware. I'll leave it there. Yeah, to the next one, please, Kenneth.
Okay.
Mhm. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, and as far as the progression goes, I took it, and I have a program that scans the negatives. But excuse me, this is a phone. Yeah. So
This is the second one.
yeah, this one I took outside, and I used to do a whole lot of Photoshop. So the idea of layering came to me. So I just took it outside, and instead of using like a white wall, I just pointed it up at the sky and did a double exposure with the sky in the background. And then where I was, when my thesis was called Transitions to the Unknown. So we're still doing that. I'm still doing that, and I like the profession. Go on to the next one, please, Ken.
I was going to say that I like
Go ahead.
that particular composition a great deal. I like that composition so much that I really wish that were one of my compositions, because I think it's a
Right.
wonderful exercise to light that in studio with snoops and the reflectors and all the things you need to really make each material look like its best in that image. So it's a
Like it.
really but as it stands, I think it's very nice. But I really like the composition more than any other aspect of it.
Oh, interesting. Thank you. Yeah, and the fact the egg is sitting in a shot. Okay, so that's neither here nor there. But thank you for that, Mark. That was even when we do shows, I just love to step back and watch people look at an image and if they linger for, that beat count, whatever it may be. I always like to go up to them and ask them, what do you see in this? I remember I shot a big photo, I think about 6 feet long, a dead tree photo. And I was like, okay, this is not going to be on my show to people catalog, but I sent it to a friend of mine, and she said I need to print it out. And that thing just speaks to me. you know, so everybody's in their own journey. We're going through photography. So, you got anything, Tim?
Nope, go ahead.
Moving right along. Um, I've always loved photography, and for one particular reason, there are moments where it's inexplicable. I pointed the camera at different people, but when I pointed it at the photographer, that godlight came down into the lens. I don't know why. I don't. So this kind of, you know, unexpected moments are one of the reasons I still love photography, because, you know, being able to capture this stuff. I'm not a very good illustrator, so the ability to do moments, you know, capture moments is very important to me. So go on to the next one. You guys anything on this? I know it's silly, but
I think it's cute. Yeah, it's a cute photo. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. All right. Move right along. Yeah. Again, you know, the progression. I've always had a feeling about, in life, you know, everybody's at their own place in their journey. But then, well, my photographic journey I feel it kind of led me to this, because, I mean, the colors, for one, I like to, if I could paint with light, I would, but capturing or capturing the right time of day is important. I look for clouds and I think, okay, that'll make a great sunset. Let me get up in the car and get out there. And this one, I just saw this and it kind of took my breath away a little bit, because, you know, the tree and the colors and the layers, you know, 'cause like the first one, when I progressed, as my journey progressed, seeing and adding layers is a really fun visual thing. It gives the eye one place to go and play in the image. And that's where I am now, you know, just looking for moments and looking for colors. I love painting with light, and I love, golden hours are always fun. Everybody like that, but I just enjoy the finish. It's my eye rest, kind of stuff. All right, that's all I got.
I, I
Tim,
just
Mark,
I I just think it's interesting that, your jump from one to the other is actually not only a jump in visual, but a jump in technique. You've gone from a genre
really?
of still life to a genre of lifestyle, or a genre of landscape. So it's just,
Yeah,
within the scope. I mean, just within the scope of what you've shown, it's an
yeah,
interesting
for
dynamic
sure.
to have that comparison between these two. So I just
Uh,
wanted to shout that out, and wonder if that was intentional or just happenstance.
no, it was intentional, because what I wanted to really show, like, from just a straight shot, you know, schooling trains you just focus on one thing and after that. But the next one was, well, I mean, yeah, okay, it's a studio shot. So what? Everybody has studio shot. So, adding the clouds in the background, added another layer of, why is that there? Why not? So, and then I feel almost, and thank you again, Mark, for the compliment about composition. When I composed, you okay? Okay. When I composed the last shot at the beach, with the golden sunset. Sorry, I too saw it in layers. The knife and fork are replaced by a couple of boats. And I don't know if people could say the boats are the focus. Like the knife and fork set. Somebody would be tickled by just the how old they are.
But it's interesting.
Um, say again?
No, you can finish. I was gonna say something.
No, I'm done. Go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I think it's really interesting because here of late I've been thinking that people have sort of compositional ideas that they work with as part of their toolkit, and I'm
Okay.
noticing that in the still life and in the uh, last uh, landscape that you showed, there's this idea that there are these two, subjects that are like this, what is it, the dominant, subdominant that you'd like to talk to us about. And I think it's very interesting that there are things that each of us sort of take with us. And, if you probably look at the body of all of our work, there might be maybe at most 7 or 8 compositions that we tend to work on over and over again. That's just a guess at the number, but it might even be fewer than that. In my case, it might even be like 3 or 4 compositions that I kind of just keep working with over and over. I can tell you what they are, but I have a funny feeling that a finite number for each of us.
Okay, I didn't quite touch all of that, but okay. Anything else, Mark, Ken?
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out because I understand what you're saying, Mark, and I'm just trying to figure out what that actual number is because I don't. I'm trying to figure out in my head logically how that would come to be because it's coming from two different points of view, one being the photographer and the other being the viewer. So me being the photographer, if I were to show you 25 images, you being the viewer, I guess you could make the claim that they all relate in some way visually within 3 specific visual types, where I
Yeah.
myself seeing them and creating them would say, no, there's not 3, there's 10. So
Well,
how will we come to an agreement with that?
Well, what I'm getting at, and I think each of us is probably different. First, there's ways that each of us prefers to work with leading lines. There are ways each prefers to work with ways that each of us like to work with mirror images, like whatever that idea, that visual idea is. I've got a funny feeling that we each approach these ideas and pretty much try to fine tune certain ideas for ourselves, and the result will be, a body of work that has some resemblance. But for most people, for the casual observer, if we've really done that well, they don't quite understand what the relationship is. But we can either see, and even if we don't see it, we can replicate that for ourselves over and over again.
Yeah, and I believe that, and I'll piggyback on that by saying I agree with that because I think, for simplification purposes, we need that because the more visual things we have going on, the more clutter that happens, the more confusing it gets to relay a specific idea or notion to individuals. So if you have 15 things that you want to speak about within a photograph, how are you going to concentrate on one when there are 15? So I get I could see that.
Well, that could be the point. For the interviewer to, look at all of the different things in the image. That could be the point.
Yeah. Yep. Good point.
Okay, we good?
Yeah.
Good, Mark?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. All right. That's gonna wrap this for this journey through photography with my good friends Marc Skinner. Hello, Mark. And Kid Nelson, and me. I'm Greg Clayborn. Talking to you live from Santa Monica,